Picture this. You're cruising down Germany's famous Autobahn, wind in your hair feeling totally free, until your car sputters and dies. You're out of gas. Super annoying, right? Now imagine getting a hefty fine for it because, yeah, it's actually illegal there. Or how about this? You land in Singapore, pop a piece of gum in your mouth to freshen up after that long flight, and suddenly you're looking at a massive fine or even jail time if you get caught selling it. Sounds completely bonkers, doesn't it? Well, get ready because these aren't just wild stories. All over the world, there's a whole bunch of truly bizarre, head-scratching laws that aren't just ancient history. Many are still on the books and actually enforced today, from fashion mistakes that can get you arrested to snack rules that'll make you question everything. We're going to look at some of the weirdest regulations that could land you in real trouble. You might think you're a perfectly law-abiding citizen, but after hearing some of these, you'll be double-checking the local rules every single time you travel. Some of these are so strange they sound like urban legends. But trust me, they are very, very real. We're about to explore the laws that make you go, what on earth were they thinking? So, prepare for some rules that seem to defy all logic but still demand to be followed. Let's kick things off with that Singapore shocker. Since way back in 1992, selling and importing chewing gum has been banned in Singapore. The main reason? They want to keep the country famously clean. Officials just got fed up with gum stuck on sidewalks, in keyholes, and all over public transport. So, if you're caught bringing in or selling gum, you could be looking at fines up to 10,000 Singapore dollars or even jail time for a first offense. While just chewing it yourself isn't technically illegal, good luck finding any to buy, and definitely don't even think about littering with it. This is one sticky situation you really want to avoid. Alright, back to Germany's Autobahn. Running out of fuel there isn't just a pain, it's against the law. The German authorities see it as a preventable hazard that puts other drivers at risk on their high-speed highways. If you're caught stranded because your tank is dry, you can expect a fine. It's considered human error, and that means it's punishable. So, keep a close eye on that fuel gauge or your lovely scenic drive could turn into an expensive legal headache. It's one of those rules that actually makes sense for safety, but it still surprises a lot of tourists. Now, for a law that sounds like it's straight out of a comedy show, in England and Wales it's illegal to handle salmon in suspicious circumstances. That's thanks to the Salmon Act 1986. This isn't about giving a fish a shifty look. It's mainly about stopping the sale of illegally caught salmon. If you're caught with salmon and it seems like you knew or should have known it was poached, you could face up to 2 years in prison. So if someone tries to sell you a salmon from the back of a van, maybe just say no thanks. Showing respect for religious figures is a big deal in many cultures, and Sri Lanka is definitely one of them. It's illegal to take selfies with your back turned to a Buddha statue. Doing that is seen as highly disrespectful. And this isn't just a friendly suggestion, it's a law they enforce. Violators can face fines or even end up in jail. Tourists have actually been deported for this. So when you're admiring religious statues, always be respectful and aware of local customs and in this case, laws. Pet lovers, this one might make you smile or maybe just surprise you with how strict it is. In Turin, Italy, it's against the law not to walk your dog at least once a day. Yep, you heard that right. If you neglect your furry friend's daily walk, you could get fined up to 500 euros. This law really shows their commitment to animal welfare, making sure dogs get the exercise and fresh air they need. It's a truly positive step for pets, but a surprising legal duty for their owners. Here's a law that might make you double-check your packing list before that trip to Thailand. It's reportedly illegal to leave your house without wearing underwear. Now, word is that this law is rarely enforced, especially for tourists. But it's technically still around, so if you were planning to go commando, Thailand might not be the best place to risk it. It's one of those older laws reflecting how things used to be, but it's still on the books. Choosing a baby name is a huge deal for parents, but in Denmark, the government gets a say too. Parents have to pick their child's name from a pre-approved list of about 7,000 names. If you want a name that's not on the list or maybe an unusual spelling, you need to get official permission from the government. A lot of unique or creatively spelled names end up getting rejected. The idea is to protect kids from really odd names that might cause them problems later on. Think that cool camo jacket is perfect for your vacation? Not so fast if you're off to places like Jamaica, Barbados, Saudi Arabia, or several other Caribbean nations. In these countries, civilians are banned from wearing camouflage clothing. Why? It's to stop people from impersonating military personnel, which could be a security risk. If you break this rule, you could face hefty fines or even get arrested. So it's probably best to leave the camo gear at home and pick something a bit less military chic. Here's an interesting one. Despite being home to the famous Callejón del Beso or Kissing Alley, the city of Guanajuato in Mexico has at times cracked down on too much public affection, including kissing on the street. It might seem a bit odd given the city's romantic landmark, but these rules are supposedly about keeping public order. So, while a quick peck in the alley might be legendary, a super passionate embrace elsewhere could get you some unwanted attention from the local police depending on how strictly they're enforcing it at the time. Want to relive your childhood by climbing a tree? Well, not if you're in Oshawa, Ontario, Canada. It's actually illegal to climb public trees in this city. This local rule is mainly there to prevent injuries and stop people from damaging public property. It might sound like it's sucking the fun out of a simple pleasure, but the city has its reasons. So, best to keep your feet firmly on the ground when you're admiring Oshawa's greenery, or you might just find yourself on the wrong side of this quirky regulation. Thinking of making a dramatic entrance at a wedding or funeral you weren't actually invited to? If you're in New South Wales, Australia, you might want to hit pause on that idea. Gatecrashing events like these can lead to a massive fine of 5,000 Australian dollars or even up to a year in jail. This law is all about making sure private ceremonies stay private and protecting hosts from uninvited guests causing a scene or distress. So always check if your name's on the guest list before you rock up. Singapore is back on our list. This time, it's for their super strict rules against feeding pigeons. If you get caught giving these feathered city folks a snack, you could face a very hefty fine. We're talking up to 10,000 Singapore dollars. Pigeons are seen as a public nuisance, and this law helps keep their numbers down and the city clean. It's a good reminder that even things that seem harmless can have legal consequences in the Lion City. Now this one's a little more complicated. While there isn't a formal national law making it illegal, many apartment buildings in Switzerland have incredibly strict noise rules. These building rules often say you can't flush the toilet after 10 p.m. because it might disturb the neighbors. If you break these tenancy agreements, you could end up in a dispute with your landlord or the other residents. So, if you're staying in a Swiss apartment, just be mindful of those late-night bathroom trips. It's more about being considerate, enforced by building rules, than an actual criminal offense. Here's a law that's both pretty out there and kind of touching. In France, you can actually legally marry someone who has passed away. It's called posthumous marriage. There are very strict conditions, of course. You have to prove that the person who died intended to marry you before they passed, and often the President of France has to give approval. This law has historical roots, often used for the partners of soldiers killed in war, and it can offer some emotional closure, though it doesn't usually give you inheritance rights. Alright husbands, listen up. In Samoa, forgetting your wife's birthday is reportedly a punishable offense. While it's a bit unclear how severe the penalty is, it might start with just a warning. Doing it repeatedly could lead to fines or even jail time. Some sources even suggest the maximum penalty could be up to 5 years in prison. There are even reports of special police teams and awareness campaigns to make sure this is enforced. So, if you're in Samoa, you'd better mark those calendars very, very carefully. Hopping over to the United States, Alabama has a rather peculiar law. It's illegal to wear a fake mustache in church if it makes people laugh. This law was probably created to keep things orderly and respectful during religious services. While it sounds incredibly specific and is probably rarely enforced these days, it's a quirky little example of how laws can reflect past social values. So, if you're planning any comedic disguises for Sunday service in Alabama, maybe think again. Arizona serves up another head-scratcher. It's illegal to let your donkey sleep in a bathtub. The exact story behind this law is a bit of a mystery, which is often the case with these kinds of weird rules, but it is a real law. Maybe there was one specific, unforgettable incident involving a very sleepy donkey and a bathtub that led to this. Whatever the reason, if you own a donkey in Arizona, just make sure it has somewhere else to catch its Z's. Down in Kentucky, it's actually against the law to carry an ice cream cone in your back pocket. This law, yeah, it reportedly goes way back to a time when horse thieves would use this sneaky trick to lure horses away. They weren't technically stealing them by leading them, the ice cream in the pocket would just get the horse to follow along. It's a pretty sweet piece of legal history though, probably not something modern police are too worried about. Still, it's probably best to just keep your ice cream in your hand. Last but certainly not least, here's one for all the pickle fans out there. In Connecticut, for a pickle to be officially called a pickle, and legally sold as one, it actually has to bounce. This law supposedly came about in the 19th century because some dodgy sellers were trying to pass off mushy, substandard cucumbers as proper pickles. Apparently 2 men were even arrested way back in 1948 for selling pickles that weren't fit to eat, which led to the bounce test as a way to check for freshness and quality. Who knew pickles had such high standards to meet? So which of these bizarre laws totally surprised you the most? Did you have any idea that running out of gas on the Autobahn could get you fined, or that you shouldn't handle salmon suspiciously in the UK? Let me know in the comments below which law you found the weirdest, or if you know of any other crazy rules from around the world that are still actually enforced. And if you found this trip into the world of weird laws as unbelievable as I did, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more strange and wonderful facts, and share this video with anyone who needs a good laugh or a surprising tidbit. From the slightly odd to the truly mind-bending, these laws are a great reminder that legal systems everywhere are full of quirks and funny historical leftovers. While some are clearly there for public safety or to keep cultural traditions alive, others just leave us scratching our heads and honestly wondering why. So, the next time you're packing your bags for a trip abroad, or even just exploring a new part of your own country, maybe a quick search of the local laws isn't such a bad idea. You never know what strange rule you might accidentally break. Thanks for watching, stay curious, and try to stay on the right side of the law, no matter how weird it might be.